Today, we have a coin rating and review of this 1 ounce St. Vincent and the Grenadines coin. So stay tuned as we tackle the culture and significance of this coin so that you can see if it's right for you. Welcome back to the Culture of Currency, the channel dedicated to showing you that anyone can start collecting silver as a hobby while also showing you the significant stories behind the coins we value. Today, as mentioned earlier, we are traveling to St. Vincent and the Grenadines. For those of you unfamiliar, this is a country in the Caribbean that is shared in the EC8 coin program. The EC8 coin program highlights St. Vincent and the Grenadine Islands, as well as Anguilla, Antigua and Barbuda, St. Lucia, Dominica, Grenada, Montserrat, and St. Kitts and Nevis. There is new artwork every year for each of these 8 nations, and there is a limited 25,000 mintage in the series. And it's one of the strongest reasons I believe that Caribbean silver coins are some of the best on the market. More about that later. Let's dive into St. Vincent and the Grenadines so that we can understand this coin more. The area of St. V&G is roughly twice the size of Washington, D.C. and has a similar history as we covered in many of the other Caribbean videos. It is believed that the Lesser Antilles Islands, where this comes from, was created by volcanic activity and eventually habitated by some form of natives, most likely either the Arawak people or Caribs. Some would believe that this would be around 1200 AD, but it's hard to verify. This is well before America and would be in the middle of the Dark Ages in Europe. Columbus is credited with naming the island after spotting it on the 22nd of January 1498, which happens to be on the day of St. Vincent of Saragossa's feast. The reference to the Grenadines is to pay homage to the Spanish city of Grenada. The history of these islands mirror what we saw in the area for standard French and British colonization tactics. It was seen as a very fertile land hosting the agricultural growing of coffee, tobacco, sugar, and a host of other valued crops and spices. The French brought enslaved prisoners of war to work the land until 1763, when the British took over the island during the 7 Years' War. Their claim was ratified by the Treaty of Paris in the same year. The British brought more slaves, and production was in full swing until various Carib battles took place in the late 1700s. These battles lasted until the turn of the century as another threat hit the island. The year was 1812. This is a significant year in American and European history due to the War of 1812, but this event was much more significant to St. Vincent. The volcano La Soufriere, which I have no idea if I'm saying that right, erupted, resulting in what was deemed considerable destruction, but we don't have a record of just how bad it was, though we do have this painting I found by J.M.W. Turner. He would have been alive during this event, but I'm not sure if the painting would have been from his personal perspective or depicted through correspondence from others. As commonplace in history, the British abolished slavery in 1834. Labor was harder to come by, so labor was imported from Portugal and India in the form of indentured servitude. Former slaves and indentured servants did not have the best of conditions in agriculture because sugar, which was a main cash crop, dropped in the demand, making it less lucrative. Eventually, landowners left due to the lack of profit, and the liberated people took over. In 1902, our familiar volcano erupted again and killed between 1,500 and 2,000 people, which was a large chunk of the population. Many stages of colonization happened throughout the years, but eventually they led to the push for independence. On October 27th of 1979, this dream became a reality. It is now a holiday in this land, and these clusters of islands actually opted to remain with the Commonwealth under the Queen, and that's why her head is still on one side of the coin. It is also of note that just last year there was another volcanic explosion. With the advancement of technology and designated evacuation procedures, there were no human losses that I could find. The ash plume reached all the way to Barbados, with many nations taking in refugees and offering financial aid. The unsung hero, however, are the cruise line industries who volunteered many of their vessels to hold and transport the islanders. Given the advancement in seismic technology, I would not think that a traveler would be at very much risk or any harm visiting these islands. They are beautiful and they offer quite a bit to the traveler who wants to relax and refresh, but not be overwhelmed by tourist traps, as this is a developing tourist area and still offers a lot of homegrown amenities. If you want to hear real reggae and taste authentic cuisine, I would suggest that you put these islands on your travel list. Enough about St. Vincent and the Grenadines, let's go to this fantastic coin. When we look at the front of this coin, we are met by a familiar yet refined friend. There is nothing special here in terms of uniqueness, and it is just a hair above average with the differing textures and foliage. I'm not going to get on my soapbox today, but if you want to know my thoughts on the front of this coin, I recommend you watch my video on Queen-centered coins. It scores a 6 out of 10. Now for the back of this coin. This is where simplicity is done well. There are many different textures at play that help break up what would be negative space. The texture also allows for light to play in a fantastic way. We have a reverent font selection with the year that encircles a close-up version of the coat of arms. Here is the full coat of arms. The text Pax et Justitia means peace and justice in Latin. There are two women in Roman dresses, one seated and one standing. The standing woman holds an olive branch, and the seated woman is actually kneeling at a gold altar where shaking hands are depicted. On the altar is a fire of some kind. It is said that the kneeling lady is to hold a scale of justice, but I do not see it in this imagery. It is a very nice image, but I do wish it had a more refined definition to its finish. I think that is why I'm not blown away, but it is still very unique and worth my collection, so I score the back a 7. Now for mintage. This is a coin that falls within the EC8 program, so we know that the mintage is 25,000. This, as stated many times, is my favorite mintage amount because it often creates premiums that are not too high if you get one, but in years it will be hard to find one of these. It scores a customary 8 out of 10. Now for cultural significance. This is a bit of a quandary for me. We have the basic EC8 imagery on the front, which does nothing for the significance of the country, and on the back, the people in charge of design chose a coat of arms which is always significant to culture, but I will say that this coat of arms seems very European in its design and offers little to highlight the nation. Usually a coat of arms offer quite a bit of natural elements such as foliage or native language in the motto. The recognized language for this area is a dialect of Creole, but they went with Roman women and Latin. I will say that this emblem was used as a badge before the country was independent, so it is actually my hope that there may be a call for a redesign in the future. That offers a little more relevance in the elements of this island. I think it should score points for being the actual coat of arms, but if the design were under my direction, I would have wanted something that made people want to visit, so I scored a 7. Collectability is next. We have an overall nice piece of Caribbean silver. It is part of an EC8 series with a relatively low mintage and is probably one of the lesser known of the EC8. For those reasons, I think collectability should be a 7. Uniqueness is the final category. We have a front that is not unique at all, seeing as all of our EC8 coins have this same imagery, but we do have a coat of arms that is unique in elements, but not unique in the idea that this subject matter of coat of arms is done frequently, so I scored a 6. This brings our total to a 41 out of 60, which tells all of you what you need to know. If you are a lover of the EC8 series, this is a coin you must have. If you love the Caribbean or this particular country, then you must get it. If you do not really care about anything other than the weight of silver, then there is no need to invest in this coin. I personally bought it to try to complete my EC8 coins, but it is not a coin I saw and said I had to have it. I hope you have enjoyed this video, and I hope that you stay current and classy with the culture of currency. Please remember to like and subscribe so that we can push all the way to phase 2 and get to the point where you start getting free silver.